I don't know if I liked it. Hashtag Polin. Hello, I'm back again. Can you tell what time I'm filming this? I hope not, but it's a little bit late. It's Sunday evening and we have a busy week ahead of us. So buckle in and let's get on with today's video. If you're new here, I'm Alice. I talk about books, we do waffles, chats, the whole shebang. So, you know, if you want someone to stick on in the background whilst you're making yourself a meal, cleaning your room, or, you know, if you just want to listen to someone, feel like you've got someone in the room, then consider hitting that subscribe button. Welcome to the family, and if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your continued support. As we know, I like to ramble, so let's get on with it. Now today, my people, we're talking about something very important on this channel. We're back again with, yes, you guessed it, another Bridgerton video. Gotta be wearing my Bridgerton pajamas. I promise I do keep them nice and fresh and clean, don't you worry. These have become a staple for me at the moment, especially as I've been so excited to watch part 2 of season 3, Penelope and Colin's story. Hashtag Polin. We love that. Iconic. Let's talk about it. Thoughts. Number 1. Now, my biggest question for this whole season is I don't know if I liked it. I know, shock horror. Right, that's wrong. What I'm trying to say is I definitely liked it, but maybe I don't know if I loved it. And this is definitely a problem because I loved the book. I was obsessed with the book. I was probably going in comparing too much right off the get-go. But I just feel like we didn't have the same story, and that's okay. So, treating them as separate entities from this point forth, I will judge it as its own thing in its own entirety. Oh, so many people are zooming around today. Can you please? First of all, I feel like we kind of said this last time, there was too much going on. There was too much going on, people. We had so many stories that were irrelevant, and I'm not really sure why they were included. There was definitely extra parts of the stories that I did enjoy. As I said before, I did quite like what was going on with the Mondrich family. I feel like it kind of added another family to the society, and also I did like what was going on with Lady Danbury and Violet in the end. Last time I was a bit like, oh, we have to do this now, but I do kind of like that we got a little bit of Lady Danbury's backstory. You know, I'm coming around to that. I did enjoy it, but I don't really know what was happening with Benedict, to be honest with you. And Kate and Anthony came back for a little flyby as well, which was fine. I feel like they were better used in this half. I kind of feel like there wasn't a point in them coming back in the first half, if that makes sense. Eloise really annoyed me, but then she got a bit better. Cressida just annoys me anyway, so what do you expect? I did really actually enjoy the story of Hen with her family. I do feel like, as I said, separate entities. I don't really think that happens. That doesn't really happen in the book. Like, she doesn't go into detail about that at the same level. She doesn't help them in the same way, etc. I really did like that actually in this story. And also because it was relevant to Penelope. It was Penelope and Colin's season, and I genuinely think if you went into it and you didn't know, you would actually find it difficult to say, no, it's definitely their season, because there were so many other things going on. And I get it, like, you know, we're going with the timeline, but I don't even think the timeline is correct. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I'm reading Francesca's book right now, which also I know has caused a lot of controversy. I appreciate they're going with their own direction in it. It is what it is. I will say I am really loving her book right now, and I know that Francesca's book has its own kind of like fandom. I'm pretty sure it's the most liked book in the whole season. So I don't know why they chose to do that necessarily, because I feel like I don't know, it was a big risk picking the most favorite story and changing it, but you know, I'm excited to see where it goes, so we'll just go with it. We'll go with the flow. I'm actually this far through, so you know, maybe I'll change opinions, but so far I'm very much enjoying this. But again, timelines, I'm pretty sure Francesca's whole story, well, not whole story, but majority of her initial story, let's say, takes place before Penelope and Colin even get together, and I think they changed the fact that they had a boy because they needed an heir, but I don't get that because isn't he a Bridgerton, so how does he become an heir? I don't really know. I don't understand how it works, but I just feel like there were a few things I thought they were a little bit unnecessary, a little bit, you know, all over the place. Now let's talk positives. I feel like we've been really negative so far. Let's just say I didn't love it, but I certainly enjoyed it still, and I had a fantastic time watching it. We did a little Bridgerton watch party, which we're now making I want to say yearly thing, but you know, it's probably going to be another 2 years. We're gonna have to wait, so I hope silver linings. It was a really enjoyable enjoyable experience. I had a super good time, but I do feel like I have a bit more of a negative skew, but I don't know if that's just because I was expecting so much, because Penelope and Colin, their story is kind of my favourite, so I don't know if I was putting more pressure on it, but you know, let me know what you think. Tell me what you thought in the comments down below, all right? Now let's talk positives. Straight off the bat with the mirror scene, I was like, what is happening? This is 0 to 100. And then I remembered it's not episode 1, right? It's episode 5, which again is a little bit early for Bridgerton, but in Penelope and Colin's story, that happens early. I don't actually know if they go the whole way. I can't remember before they get married. I don't think they do, but I feel like they get married, engaged quite early on, and then it's the whole like whistle down thing they have to deal with. That's kind of their main story, the jealousy of the writing, all of that jazz. Now, Eloise is kind of irrelevant in the book. She never finds out. It's only Colin that finds out. And I feel like they really did bits to bring her in. And she was really annoying me, but then she came around and I was like, okay, she's cool. I've read her love story, as you might have seen my video, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favourite. You know, I did a preach. So I hope she gets a good love story in the series as well. I forgot what I was saying. The little bit of tension between Pen and Colin, the way Colin's looking at her, all that jazz. I'm down for that. It was great. You know, snaps and claps. I actually think my favourite moment was actually when they were in the street and he was kind of like moody and all of that. I don't know. I just feel like that kind of captured their pull to each other. I don't know. Quite like that scene. What do you think? What do you think? What else have I got to say on the matter? I do like that they've set up Benedict's story. I'm assuming they're gonna just kind of start combining all the stories, and I definitely would like Violet to have a story as well. I don't know if I want her to have one right now, because I'm not being funny. I feel like we're gonna kind of focus, because this season was Penelope and Colin, but then they started bringing Francesca's story into it, and I just thought, well, why didn't you just pick Francesca then? And this is the thing, it's like Polin is so popular in the Bridgerton community as well, so it definitely had a lot of hype around it. I don't know, I just feel like they maybe took a risk, and I'm not sure if it fully paid off, which is a little bit harsh, but you know, it's okay. Everyone's allowed to have their own opinions. You can have yours, I can have mine. Doesn't mean we have to agree, but you know, sometimes it's fun to listen to other people's thoughts, or maybe you do agree. Good times, good vibes. Think whatever you want to think, honey, okay? Never let anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? There were a lot of parts I enjoyed. I will say again, let's just give a round of applause to the costume department. Honestly, fire in the booth. The dresses during this whole season were just next level. The colors, the patterns, everyone just looked like ethereal. Oh, it was just great times, all right? The wedding dresses that both Penelope and Francesca had, they really suited them, and oh, I just loved it. You know, like they both looked stunning, they looked gorgeous, and oh, I feel like it really captured their characters. But yeah, so honestly, they did that right this season. They did that right. I mean, they didn't do a bad job before, obviously, but I feel like they really stepped it up this season. Also, as we mentioned before, with Queen Charlotte's wigs as well, I do feel like they focus a bit too much on her, but I guess they've kind of made her that character in the series. Not really that relevant in the book, and I'm pretty sure they wrote her story so they could make a Netflix show on it, or whether they did the Netflix show first, which then is by the book. I'm not too sure. I haven't read it. I have watched the series and I did enjoy it, but I do really feel like they've kind of made that character, so they're really pushing it. But I do like it because it does add an extra excitement as well. I did feel a little bit sorry for Cressida. I really do feel like she had a tough time, and I understand why she did what she did. She was still a bitch. She didn't need to be a bitch, but they did focus a bit too much on her as well. Obviously that does happen in the actual book. She does do the whole I'm the Lady Whistledown, all of that. Oh, I don't know, maybe they didn't focus on her too much. No, I'll cut her some slack. She was alright. And I feel like I'm glad we got to see a bit more of John as well. John Sterling. Honestly, I don't think I have much else to say, so it's getting darker and darker and darker, so I should probably final thoughts. Did I like this season of Bridgerton? Yes. Did I love this season of Bridgerton? No. Is it my favourite season of Bridgerton? Maybe. I don't know. For all of its things I don't love about it, I feel like I owe it to Penelope and Colin. I am a Polin girl. I will say, season 2, they really mastered tension. They really mastered that. And I don't feel like they had that in this season, but it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be friends to lovers. And I don't know. I feel like they could have done with a few more miscommunication moments, you know, a few more like stomach drops, because that was definitely what the book was giving. I feel like they definitely could have done it better, but yeah, in some weird messed up way, I guess it kind of was my favorite because it has opened a lot of new things that are coming, especially with Benedict's story. I guess they're gonna take Eloise's story somewhere. She doesn't go to Scotland in the books, so I'm not too sure what's gonna happen there. And obviously they've started developing Francesca's story as well, and also Violet's. So I guess they've got plenty of ways to go, kind of see the reception on what people are thinking, who they think should be next. Who do you think should be next in the Bridgerton seasons? I feel like the fact they said Violet's ball, Masquerade Ball next year, I feel like that means they could do the gap in between and leave Benedict for after, or they could do it a year in the future and get Benedict's away. But you know, it's kind of looking like it's going to be Francesca because they have set most of her story up, but I don't know, I really don't know how they're doing this whole timeline. We love that for them. You got to go your own way, you got to do your own direction on things, put your own spin on things. All right, so you do you and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Well, thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry I've been rabbiting on this whole time, but let me know what you thought of this season, part 2, I guess, of this season, down in the comments below. I'll definitely be back with more Bridgerton content because, you know, I'm flying through these books right now. And don't forget to wait for the vlog. It's coming. It's coming. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it. So stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. Have you? Thank you very much, and as always, until the next one, I'll see you then. Bye.